The interest came from, obviously, through, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, that through my own career, I've sort of benefit from lots of experience, as like we did at Ganton. And I would say alongside the academic side as well, that you gain valuable information as well. As it was nearly very similar to the official training. So looking over my career, and we still do it now, Joe, my deputy and myself go away once a year on a peer review trip where we go and visit a similar course manager or different courses, and we try actually to go courses sort of a higher level than us and to see how they operate. And looking at it, the beneficial aspects of that we get, we thought that, you know, there's potential that that's transferable from the other side, so we could actually host something at Ganton. And I've always had an interest to see of can individual clubs potentially give some form of training back. And I would never say, you know, the likes of the SRUC and various mice go around, would never say that I'm an education side, you know, but I know how to look after a golf course and sort of people around it and everything about. So it was whether we could tie them two aspects together, and we had the platform to be able to do it. And it was just really a discussion over a phone call that sort of led to the event we held in November. So I think there's so many aspects from an event like this that are beneficial to both internally to our team, personally to myself. You know, I've got a keen interest, always have, is, you know, I've always had such an interest in sort of the agronomy and sustainable agronomy side, but also seeing staff progress. We have got a very diverse team. We've got a great team at Ganton now, and a varied level of experience, age, and the one thing everyone's got is very similar focus and aim to achieve. So looking at every individual, and I can't really, we set it up, but the team has to take the credit for the week, and looking at that how they delivered that week. And we looked at each individual member of staff and had a conversation with them and decided between us where they would like to sit, whether they were a team leader or whether they were assisting the team leader, or whether they dropped in and dropped out, and what they were comfortable with. And from that, you can see there's obviously the leadership skills and also the positivity from being able to pass on what we're doing at Ganton and benefit others. Mm-hmm. So the actual visualization of rather than the day in, day out of internally, we're looking at it as a team, we're actually sort of showing this to the wider sort of industry. Since everything evolves and changes, I think the industry is sort of progressing in that way. And, you know, I might have been a little bit sort of back in the day prone to that, but as the industry evolves, you realise that there's not many new ideas. So we'd easily say that the majority of stuff that I've picked up, techniques, approaches, is what I've picked up from other people, and then evolve that to suit your own situation. So I think the industry now is very much about giving, and that's where, when I had this idea in my head, that I felt that it would be very fitting in this day and age to the industry. The options we've got through social media now, you know, and living in everyone's pocket and seeing what everyone else is doing is actually what's driving a lot of the real positives in the industry. I think that the education side, I think the skill set within the industry now is as high as it's ever been. And then also you've got organisations like the RNA who are sort of really spreading the wind, delivering on a worldwide scale. So everything's sort of fitting into place, and it was more for our personal situation and the facilities we've got here. It was a real nice thing to give something back. It was quite rewarding, really rewarding for ourselves personally, to be able to have a positive impact on a group of individuals. We worked closely with SRUC in Butcher to tie in with them, and it was specifically because for this event, because it worked for them and it meant we had the audience to come in. Be a 2-hour course walk, it could be a 2-day event, it could be a joint event, could tie in with golf. And I think it was really just to see if test ourselves. You know, I think for myself personally as well was the organisation and working on all them different areas, as well as working with each individual member of staff who had a responsibility on the week. You know, you've obviously got your normal workload that's going on and planning behind the scenes, there's communication, and that to be a buy-in from the club as well. And that was so positive from the club, and we actually had members of the Greens Committee sitting on some of the education of the presentations. So the actual putting the idea and concept together and sort of designing the schedule and putting a booklet together was more workload. It wasn't sort of challenging, it was just the timing side. Apart from guaranteeing the weather, you know, the one thing on the itinerary that said was bring the warmest clothes you can, because it was sort of November in the middle of Yorkshire, so the weather's not guaranteed. And we've got so many great people in the industry that love to come together. So working with Agravista, I'm sure we'll come to that later on, but you know, Tom was very forthcoming, you know, and it fits in with their model as well. One of the things that allowed us to successfully put this event together as well, because of the network of industry connections we have with Agravista and their connections as well, and to put this together. So I don't really see too many negatives at all. I think it was very pleasing to see that an idea and a concept that I had could actually positively rub off on, even if it was two individuals, but a group. But I think the real positivities that we communicated back to our team was how much our influence from the week as a team affected a fellow industry professional. Their comments that came back were very consistent and very, you know, I feel we had a good mixture of sort of hands-on plus classroom events. We had a good variety of topics, and we kind of tried to focus it around everything sustainable that works around our sort of management. So you looked at the ecology side, you looked at sort of irrigation, which is key now, nutrition, biostimulants, wetting agents, grass species, and it was all around the ethos of how we look. We try to tie it into how we look after things at Ganton. Importance, you know, the sustainability side on the ecology side. You know, I think it's such a positive message to champion there, not in the industry but worldwide, that golf's very positive for the environment. It doesn't have to be all expensive and shiny, it can just be very low key. But obviously the community side as well, we try to work very hard. You know, it's you can imagine a Ganton in the past is very sort of it's a members only club, but we invite, so through partnerships with the RNA and Sophie as our ecologist, we've had various external groups, wildlife groups, bird surveys, who would never have come onto a golf course, so probably had a biased view from other external communications. So actually getting them on the golf course at Ganton and them leaving, and some of the comments were it was, you know, the best surveying site they've ever been on. And that's just getting them over the fence. So I think there's a real positive message there. It was such a positive week to look at sort of a pilot or trial. So from the week, we found it so rewarding, and to see the people who attended, how rewarding they seen as well, that it's definitely something we would repeat at Ganton. We would maybe mix it up, and you know, we've got a great relationship with SRUC, but the mindset as well was to really have a positive impact within the industry and see if it was possible. So we may keep that time schedule to, you know, maybe a week or a few days, but also tie it in with the opportunity for people to come and join. But the concept I had was that it could be like altered to suit, so then it's achievable at all levels, and it definitely comes down to the site and the individuals that to put it together. I thoroughly enjoyed the week. I was very proud of what we'd achieved as a team, and I know the chat within the team internally has been so positive, and they've actually stayed in contact with a lot of the lads that came. So they've now expanded their network, which we all know is what helps developed through the industry as well. And from that, we've had some interest at future tournament to come and support us. So the visualization of, you know, of attending Ganton, they now know Ganton, is that positive repeat them through. I'm confident that we'll definitely do one again, and we'll look at what went very well and what, from the feedback, what we could maybe adjust. And we look, because it was a long period, and we might, you know, we did mornings out on the golf course and then afternoon sessions, where we may next time mix it up so we have a full day potentially on the golf course doing the hands-on. But then if we have a full day of presentations and seminars, we could maybe extend that to people around in the area, so they could drop in just for the inside stuff. A lot of the role as a course manager, you're always selling ideas and communicating. So a lot of it will come down to communicating the idea or the concept, so there's a good level of understanding. And then looking at it, you're going to have the financial impact, you're going to have impact in disruption. So as long as you've got a package and it's well thought of, that ensure and highlight the benefits to the individual team, because that's a real good message to get out there. Through that full week, our lads took the responsibility and the leadership to do the hands-on sessions, but they also benefited with a full week's worth of education in the afternoons. And at this time of year, there's very little disruption. So depending on, you know, you wouldn't put that event on in July, because then you've got to balance things out. But the benefit to putting our own team within an external team at Ganton has so many benefits.